The 4 Yonkos stand at the top of the Grand Line, but behind every Emperor are commanders that carry the weight of being one of the 4 strongest in the Grand Line. Alright, so today in this video we're ranking the top 15 strongest Yonko Commanders of all time. So starting off with number 15, we have Lucky Roux. Lucky Roux is another core member of Shanks' crew and is often underestimated because of how he looks. However, the man himself, Oda Sensei, has portrayed Lucky Roux to be extremely fast and dangerous, as he's the first person to ever kill an enemy on screen, which is kinda rare and intentional, with many saying that he's faster than his shadow or even Kizaru. And we also keep getting statements about Shanks' crew being the most balanced crew with the strongest Yonko commanders, and Lucky Roux is a core member of it. Okay, so moving on, number 14, we've got Yasopp. So Yasopp is one of Shanks' core commanders and is considered to be one of the best snipers in the verse with observation haki. And it's also been stated multiple times that the Red Hair Pirates are the most balanced crew with the strongest Yonko commanders. And Yasopp has had way more experience fighting and training compared to Van Augur, Usopp, or any Yonko commander. And despite being featless, he should rank right below Ben Beckman as a 2nd Division Yonko commander. Moving on, number 13, we have Queen, the left-hand man of Kaido. So Queen ate the Ryu Nomi model Brachiosaurus, an ancient Zoan-top fruit that grants him the power to transform into a Brachiosaurus, which is also a dinosaur. He is also proficient in 2 types of haki that includes observation and ornament with great physical strength and durability. Plus Queen is also a cyborg and can use attacks like lasers, which may be light speed, and he also tanked attacks from both Marco and Big Mom. And the reason why I still have Queen under King and Katakuri is because they have better speed, IQ, and can use haki at a higher level compared to Queen. But regardless, King, Queen, and Katakuri are very close in power. Alright, so moving on, number 12, we have Katakuri. So Katakuri is the strongest Sweet commander of the Big Mom Pirates and possesses mastery over all 3 types of haki that includes advanced observation and conquerors. He also ate the Mochi Mochi Nomi, a sticky paramecia top fruit that grants him immense versatility, range, and control over the battlefield. And Katakuri's biggest feat so far was pushing Luffy to his absolute limits in the Whole Cake Island arc and forcing Luffy to evolve mid-fight into a Snake Man. And the reason why I have Katakuri over Queen is because his fighting style is a lot more versatile and he has better observation and conquerors. Moving on, number 11, we have King, the right-hand man of Kaido, and a Lunarian. He also has an ancient Zoan-top devil fruit, the Ryu Nomi model Pterodactyl, and the Ryu Nomi grants him extreme speed with aerial combat capabilities. And King's best feats include overwhelming Zoro for the majority of the fight and pushing him to unlock advanced Conqueror's haki. And it's also been portrayed that King is stronger than Queen, although the difference isn't very big as King has better speed, haki, and durability. Alright, so moving on, number 10, we have Shiryu of the Rain. And as of right now, Shiryu does not have many feats except for stabbing Garp and being placed at the bottom of Impel Down. But yeah, Shiryu is most definitely a master swordsman with good observation and ornament haki with the invisibility fruit. And the reason why I have Shiryu over King, Queen, and Katakuri is because he's the right-hand man of Blackbeard and he's gotta be strong enough to keep up with the story. And also because of the fact that Shiryu's attack did a lot of damage to Garp. So moving on, number 9, we have Sanji. So Sanji is the left-hand man for the Straw Hats and has mastery over 2 types of haki that includes ornament and observation. And as for Sanji's biggest feats, it was stopping one of Admiral Kizaru's lightspeed attacks and defeating Queen. And Sanji's gotten way faster and stronger after attaining the exoskeleton to the point he speed blitzed Queen. And the exoskeleton form also enhances durability and power. And it also turns out that the man himself, Oda Sensei, stated that Zoro and Sanji are on par with each other. And the only reason why I still have Sanji under Zoro and Marco is simply because he does not have enough feats against top tiers. Also because of the fact that Zoro has Conqueror's haki and wants to be the strongest swordsman as opposed to Sanji who wants to see the all blue. Moving on, number 8, we've got Marco the Phoenix. So Marco ate the Tori Tori Nomi, a mythical Zoan top fruit that allows him to transform into a phoenix with blue flames. And the Tori Tori Nomi also grants him insanely high level of regeneration and speed as we saw against Kizaru. Not to mention that Marco was able to hold his own against both King and Queen together and even do better. While I agree that both King and Queen were not going all out against Marco, Marco would still fold him in a one-on-one battle. And even the 5 Gorosei perceive Marco as a massive threat while talking about Blackbeard. And that is to a point he's being compared to the Yonkos. Plus even Big Mom herself states that she needs more soul weapons to fight Marco. So overall, Sanji and Marco are definitely relative, but Marco has more consistent feats against top tiers with great maneuverability and regen. And that is to a point Marco survived getting shot by Kizaru. Alright, so moving on, number 7, we have Zoro. So Zoro is a master when it comes to all 3 types of haki that includes Conquerors with some of the best feats in the entire verse. As for Zoro's biggest feat so far, it was landing a scar on Kaido and defeating King, a Yonko commander for Kaido. Plus one feat a lot of people don't talk about is that Zoro was able to cut Prometheus and stop an attack from Big Mom and Kaido together. And moving on to the Egghead arc, Zoro also went on to beat Rob Lucci and stop one of Gorosei and Ashura's attack. So Zoro essentially has 2 impressive feats against top tiers like Kaido and Ashura, which is unheard of for most Yonko commanders. And he could break past Marco's regeneration with Conquerors. Okay, so moving on, number 6, we have Ben Beckman, the right-hand man of Shanks. Well, as of right now, we do not know much about Ben Beckman's power, but he did put Kizaru on a gunpoint. A lot of people tend to overrate this feat while forgetting the fact that Kizaru went on to ignore Beckman and attack Lost Submarine. However, we do have a statement that says that Beckman is comparable to Red Hair, indicating that he should be very close to Yonko or Admiral level. Well, as of right now, it's not confirmed whether Beckman has Conqueror's haki or not, but there's a very good chance that he does have advanced observation and ornament haki. And it's also very likely that his bullets are made out of haki. Alright, so now let's move on to the 5th strongest Yonko commander, which is Kozuki Oden. So Kozuki Oden has mastery over all 3 types of haki with one of the best Conqueror's haki and swordsmanship. And as for Oden's best feat so far, he almost defeated Kaido and tanked a direct hit from the Gura Gura Nomi and Whitebeard. Not to mention that he gave Kaido trauma for eternity and is considered to be one of the only people who can potentially take down Kaido, as his panel says. Another durability feat is that he tanked a Kamusari from Roger. Alright, so now let's move on to the 4th strongest Yonko commander, which is Scopper Gaban. So starting off, Scopper Gaban is proficient in terms of all 3 types of haki, that includes advanced conquerors, and he was also able to damage a Holy Knot and stop them from regenerating, which is something we've never seen before. And additionally, it's also been stated that Scopper Gaban and Rayleigh are likely relative. And considering the fact that even an old Rayleigh went on to keep up with Kizaru, it's very likely that Gaban should be able to hold his own against any Yonko or an Admiral. Okay, so moving on, top 3, we have Rayleigh. So just like Scopper Gaban, Rayleigh has mastery over all 3 types of haki, that includes advanced conquerors and advanced observation. And Rayleigh is also the right hand man of the Pirate King, which is certainly better than being a left hand man. And on top of that, Rayleigh also went on to train 2 current Yonkos, that includes Luffy and Shanks. And while training Luffy, it's also been portrayed that old man Rayleigh was a lot faster and stronger than Gear 4 Luffy. And Rayleigh in his prime went on to one-shot Marco and was comparable to Roger. Then in the Island of Women, Rayleigh also went on to scare off Blackbeard despite himself admitting inferiority to Blackbeard. And the reason why I brought it up is because Blackbeard still perceives Rayleigh as a big threat despite being a Yonko himself. And at last, he was also present at the God Valley incident, so he should be around top 3. So moving on, number 2, we've got the strongest swordsman in the verse, Mihawk. So Hawkeye or Mihawk is still considered to be the strongest swordsman in the entire One Piece verse, even excelling Shanks in terms of swordsmanship. But at the same time, he does not have many feats except for excelling people who primarily wield a sword like Fujitora or Nejuro. Well, at the start of the video, I put Mihawk at first, but I did change my mind considering Kuzan has a lot more consistent feats compared to Mihawk or any Yonko commander. So now let's finally move on to the strongest Yonko commander of all time, and it's Kuzan. So as of right now, Kuzan or Aokiji has some of the best feats in the entire One Piece verse. Alright, so starting off with Kuzan's first feat, it was decimating the Straw Hats and creating a continent of ice. Then during the time skip, Kuzan goes on to fight Akainu for 10 days straight, and they're matching blow for blow to the point they terraform the entirety of Punk Hazard. And what I mean by terraform is that Kuzan changed the entire weather while freezing the entire terrain, which gives him a huge advantage as nobody can stand on ice except for Akainu, as Akainu can use magma to cover his part. And then Kuzan also one-shotted Cracker in Big Mom's Island, then froze all of Blackbeard's entire crew, and Blackbeard did not want to fight him either. And the main detail here, which I kinda missed, was even the strongest member of Blackbeard's crew like Burgess and Van Augur were frozen and one-shotted. Mind you, the same Van Augur was manhandling Cracker, which took Gear 4 Luffy a lot of time and effort to beat. And then Kuzan also went on to fight Garp and clashed equally against him despite Garp having Conquerors and arguably the best strength in the verse. And it's also been portrayed that Kuzan had a mental nerf in the entire fight and was not going all out against Garp. While I agree that Shiryu did stab Garp, Garp still got back on his feet and Kuzan was the one who landed the final spike on Garp. So my point here is that even if Kuzan does clash with Mihawk, his punches should be able to cancel out the sword strikes. And at last, we also know for a fact that the Hiei Nomi was able to cancel out Akainu's magma fruit, which has the highest AP out of all the fruits in the verse. And yes, Kuzan did scare the hell out of Doflamingo Attack and Smoker as well.